I've been sent to some pretty strange places for this job, but this particular assignment takes the cake. We're going out into the middle of nowhere to investigate the scariest place in America. At least that's what they call it. It's apparently home to ghosts, demonic activity, and satanic rituals. So what could be scarier than that? The fact that we're gonna be spending the night here alone. This is gonna be an interesting one. We arrived at the town of Bakersville, West Virginia at around 2 p.m. on June 27th, 2014. The town itself isn't much to look at. It's just a small little community surrounded by dense forest with very few houses scattered about. But there is one building that stands out amongst the rest, the old Bakersville Elementary School. It looks abandoned and neglected. The paint is chipping off the walls and the windows are boarded up. And according to local legend, it's haunted by the ghost of a former principal who haunts the halls and interacts with students. We were told that this was a particularly active area for paranormal activity and ghost sightings, so we decided to start our investigation here. We didn't have any permission to enter the school, but we found a window that had been left open and slipped inside. The place was filled with trash and debris, so we spent some time clearing out an area in the middle of the room where we set up our equipment. We brought into cameras an audio recorder, a full-body video camera, and 3 EMF readers. As the sun began to set, we started to explore the rest of the school. As we walked through the hallways, we noticed that the air grew colder and the hair on our arms stood up. We were unsure if it was just our imaginations or if there was actually something here with us. But as we continued to explore, we started to find some really strange things. In one of the classrooms, we found a desk and chair pushed up against the wall. And when I went to sit down in the chair to investigate further, it suddenly tipped over. I was shocked because no one had been sitting in the chair before, and there was nothing that could have caused it to fall over. Was it the ghost of a student or just a trick of the mind? Who knows, but it definitely freaked me out. We then moved to another room where we found a whiteboard covered in writing. Some of it was unintelligible, but some of it was clearly satanic in nature. We tried to wipe the board off, but the writing wouldn't come off. No matter how hard we tried, it was as if it were burned into the surface of the board. This is when things started to get really scary. We began to hear footsteps and whispers coming from the vents. And when we looked up, we saw that the metal grates were moving. At first, we thought that it was just the wind, but it was clearly getting darker, and there was no way that the wind could have caused this. We also started hearing scratching sounds coming from inside the walls, and the lights flickered ominously. It was clear that whatever was in this room was agitated by our presence. We decided to leave the school and try to find somewhere else to investigate. But wherever we went, the scratching sounds followed us. They seemed to be coming from everywhere and nowhere at the same time. I started to feel a sense of dread wash over me, and I could shake the feeling that we were being watched. We eventually found our way to the basement of the school, which was filled with boxes and old furniture. As I descended the stairs, I could feel the temperature drop dramatically. Suddenly, I heard a voice behind me say, "Get out!" I froze in my tracks and slowly turned around to see if anyone was there, but the room was empty. I chalked it up to my imagination, but in hindsight, I'm not so sure. We continued our investigation in the basement and soon realized that it was a hotbed of paranormal activity. The EMF reader started to go crazy and the lights flickered, even though the power was turned off. We then noticed a dark figure standing in the corner of the room, watching us intently. We tried to ignore it at first, but it started to move towards us slowly. I felt a sense of terror grip me as I watched it approach. I knew that whatever it wasn't friendly. We ran from the basement back to the car as fast as we could. We were all shaken up by what we had seen and heard, and we didn't stop until we were safely away from the school. In the morning after, of course, sleeping in the car, we returned to the school to look around a bit more. We figured that whatever was haunting this place was probably gone by now. But we were wrong. The moment we stepped foot on the property, the scratching started again. It was coming from everywhere, and it was relentless. We tried to ignore it, but it only got louder. We then noticed that the boards covering the windows had been removed during the night and the glass was shattered. We were shocked because we had nailed them in place ourselves, and it would have taken a lot of force to break them. This is when we decided to call it quits. We were all shaken by what we had experienced, and we couldn't wait to get away from this place. As we drove away, we could have sworn that we saw the dark figure standing at the edge of the property watching us leave. Now, I'm not usually one to believe in ghosts or paranormal activity. I'm a scientist and I need evidence to believe something. But the experience that we had at Bakersville School was unlike anything I've ever seen before. The scratches, the footsteps, the whispers, it was all too real to be simply explained away as imagination or trickery. There are some things that science can't explain, and this may be one of them. Whatever haunted this school was not of this world, and it was truly terrifying. I still have nightmares about the dark figure standing in the basement, and the scratching sound still rings in my ears. I don't know what happened to the people who lived in this town, but I hope that they're safe wherever they are, because this place is a nightmare. If you want to visit this place for yourself, you can find it on Google Maps. Just search for Bakersville, West Virginia, and zoom in on the old elementary school. You can see it for yourself and maybe even catch a glimpse of the ghost of Principal Skinner or one of the other spirits that haunt this place. I'd like to know what you think about this place. Do you believe that there are ghosts here or that something else might be going on? Let me know in the comments below. I'm also curious to hear your thoughts on the video as a whole. What did you think of the investigation? How do you think we handled the situation? And overall, how scary do you think this place is? If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bakersfield, California is known as one of the creepiest places in the United States. The reason for this is that the entire town is built on a former burial ground. When the town was first founded, the settlers didn't bother to remove the bodies that were already there. And as a result, many of the buildings are literally built on top of graves. This has led to all sorts of strange and unexplainable phenomena, including ghostly apparitions, disembodied voices, and unexplained deaths. One of the most famous stories comes from the Bakersfield Museum, which is said to be haunted by the ghost of a former curator. Visitors have reported seeing his apparition walking the halls and interacting with staff and guests alike. There are also said to be the ghosts of several children who died in a fire at the museum in 1911. Their spirits are said to roam the building, playing and laughing, but sometimes even causing mischief. The Bakersfield Cemetery is also said to be haunted. Visitors have reported seeing shadowy figures and hearing disembodied voices and screams in the middle of the night. One caretaker even reported seeing a ghost dog that never leaves the cemetery grounds. But it's not just the cemeteries and museums that are haunted. The entire town is said to be saturated with paranormal activity. Many of the homes in Bakersfield have seen their fair share of ghosts and unexplained phenomena. One family even reported having regular seances in their living room to communicate with the ghosts that they share their home with. So if you're looking for a truly spooky and eerie destination, look no further than Bakersfield, California. Just be prepared for anything. You never know what you might encounter when you step foot on this cursed town.